Thanks very much, mate. Here comes question 6, our last question for the night. I think the Chamber of Commerce may have written this one. But anyway, have a listen. How would you work with the Chamber of Commerce to assist SMEs in the region and give more recognition to the Chamber's work? Let's get into it right now. Michelle Landry.
Very good. Look, oh, sorry, I better do that. We're all getting tired, so we're not knowing what we're doing. Look, I work quite a bit with the Chamber. I catch up with Phil Henry on a regular basis, and I think it is important that we work with groups like the Chamber of Commerce, Cap Enterprise and Advanced Rockhampton, and these organisations that represent small businesses, work with small businesses, and we've also started up a group that the Chamber's involved in called the Capricorn Business Advisory Alliance, which is a group that I started up to help small businesses get on board with the Singapore project up at Shellwater Bay, because I think that's really important. My whole life I've been involved in small business, and I tell the story that my parents had Lucky Daniel's Casket Agency in William Street and Rocky, and as a 12-year-old I wrote casket tickets out. So I have a strong affinity for small business, and I will continue to have that. And that's why we've done projects like the Shop Local, and I do that every Christmas. But, you know, we're having a major push at the moment, as I said previously, about encouraging people to small businesses along East Street, William Street, in that whole precinct. We've also, as I've also mentioned, had projects like JobKeeper, cash flow boost payments, so apprenticeships, home builder, so a lot of projects that actually support small businesses. And as I said previously, the instant asset write-off. So look, I'm a major supporter of small businesses. I'm often popping in, and my staff are always out buying lunches and things down the street. I'm always buying dresses down the street, and it's you know, about supporting those businesses. And just to quickly add that today, you know, with the Bruce Highway, I do support that as well. It's very important. But we made a major announcement today about more road safety packages and truck stops along the Bruce. So I just wanted to let people know about that too. But yeah, I'm a big supporter. I think they do a great job, and I will continue to support as much as I can.
Thank you very much, Michelle Landry, Liberal National Party. Nathan Harding from United Australia Party.
Thank you. Yeah, look, I've been in community engagement for 15 years, so know the importance of the Chamber, know the Chamber up in Mackay. Looking forward to getting to know the other business associations. But I must applaud the Chamber here for standing up for small businesses. Because when the mandates of December 17th were announced, we had a Yeppoon Town Hall, 400 people in that town hall. We had another one, 700 here, not a local member in sight. Now, I should say, Rockhampton, though.
I was in Parliament, actually.
Yep,
so
you're in Parliament. That's what I was going to add there. For the Rockhampton one, Yeppoon was a little bit different, but I commend the community was crying, small businesses were saying, we're about to close. I organised a number of meetings with locals, some who took a very different view to others in the room, but I felt we needed to hear what was the cost that was going to happen in our community. I commend Senator Matt for crossing the floor in the Senate. Craig Kelly, back last year, saw the mandates coming and put 2 bills into Parliament. It wasn't supported or prioritised in the Parliament. Commend George Christensen, who's now with One Nation, because of these things. 244 respondents in the pro-choice Livingston business group that got together. 43 of those respondents were business owners, and the impact of staffing under them who didn't want to be vaccinated with 2,919 people. 59% of our small businesses in this area said we are going to lose half of our income. That's not something to just, oh well, move on, oh, they've got a different view to us. There is something happening in our nation, whereas if you disagree with a government policy, you are punished. We say, oh, well, those are the consequences with not agreeing with the government. That is not democracy, and that is not the foundation of Australia that we were founded on. And so I want to commend those in the Commerce, whose Chamber of Commerce that stood up and said, hey, they had a view of the vaccine, but they said, look, these people shouldn't be punished. Revenue will be lost. And so 37%, I sat with some small business owners and they said, Nathan, there are some businesses who have lost 40% of their revenue. I chatted to another cafe owner and he said, I was down 75%. There was a bloke up in Serena who said, Nathan, I applied for COVID payments and I missed out because there was one thing that was wrong. I didn't get any COVID supplement payments. I'm glad I'm still here. 10,000 Capricornians just a month ago were segmented out from our society. Now, I used to work and travel overseas, and one time I was on the border of Syria, Iraq and Turkey, and I chatted to some of the young, the Indigenous people there who were being segmented out from their society by their government. And I'll just finish on this, because this is an important point for the people and small businesses in this electorate. I said, what happened here? How did it get like this? They said, well, when the discrimination first started, no one said anything because it was all new. And then by the time we stood up, it was too late. And I came back from that trip and I said, I will never stand by and be silent and watch that happen in my country. Why is that? Because what if you, not on vaccinations, but what if you on climate change disagree with the government and the new digital systems that are coming in and they decide to punish and segment you out from the population? This election is critical. We must vote differently, and the polls are saying Australia is ready to vote differently. So let's do it.
Thanks very much. Way over time, but it's all good. You got your message across. Thank you very much. Paula, from the Informed Medical Options Party, what are your thoughts?
Well, just touching on what Nathan spoke about with the Chamber of Commerce and the pro-business choice group. I was assisted with that whole process and gathering people and businesses as well. And yeah, it's really important to work together with community unity and with our commerce groups and different individuals in our community that are willing to encourage innovation and new ideas. We've got to encourage locals of all ages, young and old, to come with new ideas to try and generate our community as a vibrant community where we can sustain our own families and things like that without relying on shipments from down south, from other places. We're a big area, Capricornia. So, and there's such a wide variety of industries here, from farming to all our farmers that grow our veggies and our beef and all our mining and industry. We need to start forming all these different industries to supply our needs here in Capricornia. And we have the resources at our fingertips. We just need the government to invest in our community. We need our community to get involved, and that would create jobs, and then we can actually bring all that training in and develop a place for our kids to stay. So many children move away once they become teenagers or enter into the workforce. So if we start trying to get funding into Capricornia and using what we have here, we have like a wealth of various products and services that we can actually work on building and having a vibrant, strong community based on respect, kindness, and just wanting to be a really good place to live. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Zteven Whitty, it's interesting, isn't it, working with the Chamber and how you promote them as well as trying to assist the SMEs?
Yes, indeed. So therefore, if I were to be elected as a member of the Legislative Assembly, because that's the question here, is how would we work with the Chamber? I would be fully protecting small to medium business enterprises, for they can be thought of as a microorganism in a local setting. And in that economic setting, they must be preserved. So as such, Great Australian Party, would be very interested in working with the Chamber of Commerce here in Capricornia to link, open and maintain clear channels of professional communication that gather ideas and requests so as to decrease the amount of red tape associated with their administrative and bureaucratic troubles that they might be facing. So that might link in towards the idea of maybe educative programs that link towards what the Commonwealth actually represents. But I personally would like to introduce experience-based mentor programs, as mentioned earlier with the idea of communities of practice, which have been proven extensively from researchers such as Lang and Wenger Trainer of the benefit for young people in communities, make the use of the excellent availability of the organisational expertise of the Chamber for itself could be recognised as a great community of practice of its own. So that would be a fantastic for young people to be able to access that and learn the networking skills and business acumen through the connections of the experienced people of the Chamber currently or involved in time to come. And it would also be a point for the Chamber to enable the fact that they could be seen as a focal point of the business community here by facilitating and engaging with programs that encourage local supportive initiatives where possible funding may become readily available due to the interest of serving the youth and the prosperity of the local region. Those initiatives would serve as vehicles for equipping young people with what good social cohesion looks like, so as to lower the likelihood of perpetuating barriers that we're speaking about in question 1, just to recapitulate what we're talking about this evening, and those barriers that might lead to inequity in the workplace and society, and would be devised by implementing program longevity in mind so as to maintain and survive anything where the social relevance and the irrespective of contemporaneous governmental funding that comes in and out of whoever is in a position of government of the day. To pick up on the Commonwealth point, where I would like to extend an invitation for the Chamber to look into CADCO. So the Commonwealth of Australia Democratic Cooperative would be very interested in developing a program where we could have outlet initiatives that teach young people what the Commonwealth represents, what it means, what's going on with it, or all the iterations therein, so they can have a base foundation of what's going on. And I'd like to mention those parties such as Informed Medical Option Party, the Federation Party and Great Australian Party are co-signees to restoring the original constitution of this country. And I'll leave it there, and thank you for having me this evening.
Behind small business, aren't you?
Absolutely. Folks, I think the local Chamber of Commerce is an excellent organisation and a lovely community. I've observed that recently in particular. But I also think it's worth reflecting on the challenges we face in Central Queensland with any of our organisations. Whenever I meet with an organisation, I notice certain characteristics. It's difficult to get things going in Central Queensland. It's difficult to get people involved in Central Queensland. I think it's important work that's being done, but if I'm being asked how I can help the Chamber of Commerce, then pass or fail, elected or not elected, I'm around to help get them in touch with people, help build their capacity, help build their relationships with different sectors of our community, because this is everybody's business. Small business is everyone's business, and it's vitally important that everybody has a say in that. And I sympathise as somebody who's built up an organisation in this area. It's always difficult. It's always difficult to get people to opt in. It's always difficult to get people to come along, and it's really important that people do. The other side of that is I draw people's attention to our policies on community involvement in spending and other policy decisions. Community consultation is vital to our model. One example I use, the Greens have a fully costed policy to ensure no coal worker is left behind in this transition that we are definitely going through. But part of that I'll zoom in on is a $2.9 billion fund to allow communities to actually make their own transition plans, communities around the coal sector, so that they can adapt to those changing situations with their own budget, their own funding, their own tender process, for instance. This is taking from the learnings that we've had from, for instance, the Latrobe Valley, where years and years ago there was a privatisation of coal infrastructure that led to massive layoffs. And there were some very bitter lessons learned there, but also some very positive learnings out of that. The Hunter Valley Alliance is also taking action in that respect, and that's a model we can adopt locally. Chamber of Commerce and other organisations would obviously be at the forefront of that approach. So we want to have genuine public engagement in policy, making sure that going forward the public is engaged, and organisations like Chamber of Commerce really have to be at the coalface of that transition and the coalface of that public spending model. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Michael. And I can feel the energy in the room starting to wane, so I'll be as as quickly as I can. I guess I think the question's more around how do we interface with the group. It means more transparency, so that means more meetings, more public roundtables, and it's that effect. It's making sure that we give people equal access to become members. I've noticed that sort of the chamber is dropping away, and we're lacking some of the businesses' enthusiasm to join the commerce. And so it's important that we run some programs to make sure we can get as many members involved, make sure it's transparent, and we get as much public exposure to it. And again, to Michelle's point, I think it's also important that we run some programs that encourage small business. Our small business success stories, we don't celebrate enough. We pat them on the back and we move away, but we should be up and out and celebrating them, and that means endorsing them and making sure we share with our friends and family who aren't in the region the successes of small business. Some of the small businesses down in Yeppoon I visited just recently. So a young woman who was 26 who left a job at Target. She started her job as a cashier at Target at 14 and went out on her own. Now this little small business is booming. That's the type of things that I've been celebrating. It's what we need to do, and encourage people like that, young people who have decided to strike out and have a go, to become members of the Commerce Chamber and make sure that they get the access and the opportunity. So celebrate small business and give us some more transparency and more exposure.
Okay, hopefully. Governments, both state and federal, need to consult with local business rather than overseas unelected bureaucrats that seem to be calling the shots on business. I said it earlier, regulations and red and green tape are currently strangling our businesses. They need to be reviewed, and there is no better time than now after COVID. In order to thrive and create new business opportunities, the tax system, the way a government use local business, insurance costs, power costs, water and local government costs, they need to be reviewed at a level that is both fair for existing and new start businesses. Government is gouging electricity and fuel at the moment. When has anyone spoken to businesses? Government throws them a handout, no real reform, just the old deal with it, and it's not good enough. When it comes to business, we need to govern from the bottom up. Tell us what is beneficial, and let's do our best to make things thrive. And this is where the Chamber of Commerce comes in. It's all about consultation and regular review in these ever-changing times.
Thank you very much. Okay, this was the most difficult one for me to answer, actually, and I'll try and keep it brief. Campbell Newman, who was the former Liberal Premier of Queensland, we travelled around the region recently. We did meet with the Chamber of Commerce, and it's obvious to us that you are committed to the prosperity of the region. I've also travelled around by myself. I've met a lot of businesses, and I've seen the challenges that I probably wouldn't have done at any other time of businesses on the Capricorn coast. Look, less than 3 months ago, I was a teacher at the Yeppoon State High School. I was very happy doing that, and I believe I was good at that. I am currently forbidden by government legislation from doing that act. And I'll back up Nathan what he said. This is reprehensible behaviour. It's a disgrace when we're entering into this economic crisis that is on the horizon that we are forbidding people to work who want to do so. Secondly, I'm not an expert in politics. Like I say, I've never sought public office, and without this government, we can blame it on COVID, but this chaos is government orchestrated. We shouldn't be blaming the virus. Every pain you're feeling now to your business is from government. Full stop. So I'm not an expert in politics, but I do have a political philosophy, and I've got two aphorisms to sort of sum that up. The first one was spoken by Ronald Reagan. I'm not sure if he wrote it, but he did use it in his an election in the 80s. It's this, that government is not the solution to your problems, it is the problem. That's number one. The second one is attributed to Thoreau, and again, probably didn't originate with him, but it's something I believe in very much. The best government is that which governs least. And this is the philosophy of the Liberal Democrat Party. We are a libertarian party, which means we want small government. The less intrusion into your lives by this big, what do I even call it? We want to stay out of your way as much as you can. It should be the role of a politician to remove obstacles from your path. They shouldn't be telling you what to do. We should be saying, what can we do to get things out of your way? That's their role. It shouldn't be anything else. For me, I'm not allowed to work at my job because I refused to take an experimental vaccine. You can, it doesn't matter if it's wrong or you think my decision was unwise. It's my right to decide what I want to do in my life. And Nathan's story about Syria is pertinent to this. We don't want to get to a point in this country where government is legislating and telling you what to do. This is fascism. I know that is thrown around, but a government that allows you to run a business but tells you how to operate your business is the definition of a fascist government. It's not about all these other things. It's thrown around willy-nilly, all these words, but that is fascism. The last thing, I know this will be quick. A politician is your servant. I'm your servant. You tell me what to do. What do you need? And last thing, we would really like to see, I'm being very quick here, we would really like to see a minor candidate in power, like what I said earlier. If you keep doing the same things, you're going to get the same results. If you don't like me, you prefer Nathan, by all means, please vote for Nathan or for Kylee. We want you to put the LNP, the ALP and the Greens at the bottom, and we need to get a minor candidate in power. It's a mistake to say that your vote is wasted on a minor candidate. The opposite is true. We will have a lot of influence as a minor... I got on a rant.
Well, Dan, I was about to say, so are you sure? Are you sure there's nothing else you want to say?
Nathan's an inspiration to me over here from United Australia.
You had some fun. A lot of people get to know you on the inside and outside. Look, with thanks to the Chamber of Commerce, let's put our hands together for Michelle Landry, Zteven Murphy, Kylee Stanton, Russell Robertson, Mick Jones, Paula Ganfield, Zteven Whitty, and also Nathan Hardy. Thanks very much for your time. The good thing is, the candidates will still be here for photos and autographs.